Hello my Honkai mommy enjoyers, and today we're going to talk about one of the most beautiful Foxian mommies in the game, Yukong. Unfortunately, Ting Yun is no longer with us, and may her neck rest in peace. So today we're going to talk about how to build Yukong and use her with her best friend, Danny Dan Heng. I'm sorry, that commenter that said we can't call him Danny or Dan anymore. Don Hung, we're going to be calling him, emphasis on the Hung. But yes, we're going to be talking about how to build her and make her work and synergize with Danny here, because we want him to do the most damage possible. We want to see that damage number go from 100k to 200k potentially, right? So we're going to start off with talking about our Foxian beauty skills and abilities first, so we can kind of get a grasp on what she actually does for the team itself, and then we'll talk about relics, then Lightcones, Eidelons, and everything like that. So there will be timestamps in the video if you don't care for a section or you already know what you want for that section, so feel free to skip through if you want. Also, I normally ask this towards the end of the video, but if you guys could, please subscribe to the channel. We're trying to grow. We're trying to hit 4,000 subscribers, so any subscriber will help to that goal. We're almost halfway there at this point, so it would help out a lot if you guys could subscribe to the channel. Yippee! Anyways, guys, let's go ahead and talk about our Foxian beauty skills. So the main draw of Yukong's kit, I get it, I said draw because she uses a bow. The main draw of this kit, though, is her roaring bowstring, which she gets when activating her skill. Basically, whenever roaring bowstring is active, she's going to be increasing all allies attack by 60%. This will only last for 2 turns, though. Like, when I say turns, it's not like turns coming back to her, it's turns in terms of, hey, you just attack with 2 of your next characters, now you don't have this anymore. So you do kind of have to time this correctly, unless she's E6. We'll get into the Eidelons a little bit later in the video, but you do have to time this correctly, guys. Now, roaring bowstrings does play into the ultimate. You do have to take use of roaring bowstring to actually get like the main benefit of her ultimate move, which is going to be increasing the crit damage and crit rate for all allies by a certain percentage depending on your level. For me, it's 25% and 55% for both of those, and on top of that, I'll also be dealing damage to a single target. But this does rely on roaring bowstrings. If roaring bowstrings is not active, you actually do not get the crit rate or crit damage buff here, so you have to make sure you're timing this correctly with her skill. This is really huge and will amplify Danny's damage by a lot. And finally, what her talent does is she deals additional imaginary damage to the enemy, and also on top of this, she'll be increasing the toughness reducing damage she does by 100%, which means she does double of the toughness meter there. So if you hit an enemy with ultimate, you're going to be destroying that toughness meter. This activates every couple of turns, so this does make her a bit more efficient in terms of breaking enemy shield and making sure that Danny's Wastelander set can pop off, if you're using Wastelander set on him anyways. Hopping into our traces now, the traces are actually kind of important for her. One of her most important ones is going to be Bowmaster, which is her second one. When Yukong's on the field, all imaginary damage dealt is increased by 12%, which means Danny gets a 12% damage increase to his imaginary damage, and he's imaginary, so this is really huge for him. Her first one, though, is going to be Yukong can resist 1 debuff application for 1 time. This effect can be triggered once every 2 turns, and we know the enemies love targeting the Foxian mommy, so this could be good as far as like getting at least 1 debuff off of her, right? Especially if it's a CC. And then finally, her last bonus ability is going to be when roaring bowstrings is active, he's going to regenerate 2 additional energy every time an ally takes action. I mean, this is like, I guess, kind of good if you're running energy regen. Of course, you'll get more use of this, but with this, you'll basically be getting like 4 extra energy every single time you activate her roaring bowstrings. Now, as far as how I would be upgrading her skills and everything like that, I would upgrade her ultimate first, because this is the biggest thing in her kit. This is the thing giving you your crit rate and crit damage. This is the number 1 thing you should be upgrading. Second should be her skill, because this will increase your attack, and Danny loves his attack, so this will be really good to upgrade as well. I mean, the other 2 are alright. You don't necessarily have to upgrade these. I mean, the talent really doesn't do too much. You could honestly upgrade the basic attack. It's a lot more feasible than like on most other support characters, just because it does have that toughness reducing meter there, and it helps a bit more as far as just dealing overall damage to the enemy, because you're going to be breaking the shield more often, and just overall just does more damage because you'll be using this quite a bit, right? But with that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about Yukong's best relic sets now. Now, as far as what I like to run on Yukong, I'll show you my set right now. My set is absolutely scuffed, and the reason why my set's so scuffed is because I'm trying to appeal to the broken kill set to get that extra crit damage out for all allies. I'm running her very support right now. You can run her more DPS, which we'll talk about in a second here, but just for my circumstance right now, I'm just trying to make her survive, and also on top of this, have that 30% effect resistance, so she's actually able to, you know, give this buff off. We're also focusing on speed as well, just to make sure she is above 134 speed, because that is really essential that you have that. So what I think to be her most damaging set is, or as far far as like what you would use to like get the most DPS out of her is going to be the full banditry set, like full banditry all the way out. Now of course this is going to rely on you breaking the enemy shield so you can get max buff off for her to do this damage. Now this is only like a 5% increase off of using a 2-piece musket, 2-piece bandit. So I mean, if you have a 2-piece musket and 2-piece bandit you can use on her, that could be completely viable as well. Now this damage numbers I'm showing you here are really low damage numbers in comparison to what you can actually get with her, because I am like using little to no stats on any of my pieces when doing these comparisons, just to kind of show you like what the base is. I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys on screen now like what the actual relic sets that I'm using are. These are the main stats I'm using and the substats. As you can see for the substats, we are very, very low as far as like requirements for the substats, right? So I mean, I think this is by far obtainable by any player trying to reach this margin here, and there's a lot more room to grow as far as the damage. Here are the final stats on screen now as well. Just to give you a brief overview of like what we're working with here, and to show you guys that your damage can be a lot higher than the damage I'm showing here on screen now. Of course, the more stats you get, the like bigger the numbers are going to get here, but the margins should stay about the same. It should stay between like a 5 to 7% difference in damage here. So like I said, if you have the musket, run the musket and the bandit. Now going into some other sets you could run, like say you don't have any of the bandit set, right? Say you don't want to use the bandit set on your Yukong. Say you only have good musket pieces. I mean, you're running completely musket is completely viable as well. I mean, there's about a 5% damage drop off there as well using the full musket set here. So I mean, it's really not that big of a difference. Like I said, it's a 5% give or take here and there. I mean, obviously you'll get 5% more damage using the extra bandit set, but I mean, if the substats are better, you could make up for that. Say you don't have like a good bandit set, right? You could definitely make up for that 5% with your substats alone. Also, a 4-piece musket set will offer you some extra speed as well. So if you're having trouble reaching that breakpoint, then a 4-piece musket set could do you pretty well there. Now, another set that you could potentially run, I don't really recommend running it, but something that you could run would be a 2-piece hacker space and 2-piece bandit, just because it does give you a lot more speed up front for the 2-piece set. So you're only having to farm for like 2 decent pieces for the hacker space set and 2 decent pieces for either the bandit or the musket set that you're running. There is about a close to a 10% drop off in damage here, but it does give you more speed up front. So if you're having trouble reaching that breakpoint speed, then this is something that I would recommend running. Now, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about some of the main stats that you're wanting on your Yukong. So on the boots, I would recommend running speed boots just to get over that 134 speed. You want your supports on a Danny team to be going as fast as possible, so you're able to actually, you know, generate more skill points for him, because he is really SP hungry. On the chest plate here, you can either go crit rate or crit damage, HP, whatever one you're struggling with more. I'm going for crit rate here to get some extra damage out. So that's what I'm running personally. As far as the sphere goes, go for an imaginary boosting sphere here so you're able to get some more DPS out on her, because she doesn't slack in the DPS department, especially if you can build her into DPS. I think she will be worth your while building her that way. So that's why I'm running that. And also on the chain here, I'm running HP percentage. I probably recommend running energy regeneration here, just because to get her ultimate back up and running quicker, because that's going to be the main thing providing the like a big damage burst to Danny. So I would recommend running energy regen up here, but HP or attack is also fine. It's not really set in stone. The only thing really set in stone is I would recommend running speed boots at all times on your Yukong. So as far as the substats for Yukong, I would definitely be focusing on effect resistance first. That would be the number one thing to focus on. After that, crit rate, crit damage, depending on what your chest is and depending on what your ratio is, go for whatever one you need more of. And then also you could go for speed as well. Now for that final stat, or another stat, you could gain for like HP, defense, or just something more defensive to keep her alive more, because you do generally want her to stay around 3000 HP. The more HP the merrier, in my opinion. Around 3000 HP and 1000 defense will make her survive at least 2 hits from the spearman, I believe. So really pog there, that's what I'd be aiming for. But with our relic sets out of the way now, let's go ahead and talk about some of the Eidelons. Now, I do have an E6 Yukong, and the reason I have an E6 Yukong is because I wanted E6 Yukong, because E6 is super strong for Yukong. Her E1 is also pretty nice as well. It does increase the speed of all allies by 10% for 2 turns, just at the very start of battle. It's pretty nice. Her E2 will also regenerate her 5 energy every time your allies get their ultimates up, so this also does come in clutch. E4 is really what makes her DPS Yukong, because she'll be dealing 30% more damage whenever Roaring Bowstring is active, which means usually you use your skill and then your ultimate, which gives the ultimate 30% more damage, which is really clutch for her. And then finally E6, which is by far her best. Whenever she uses her ultimate, she immediately gains 1 stack of Roaring Bowstring, so it kind of eliminates the process of having to time her skill usage. Now, I know E6 is super hard to get, and you know, this is going to be like an E6 showcase for Yukong when we go into like the showcase here for her and talk about how to use her. But just keep that in mind. If you can get E6 Yukong, I mean, I would recommend it if you want to use Danny, because she does provide a lot for Danny. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for the Eidelons section here. E6 by far her best. If you can get it, go for it, but understandable if you can't. If you want to run DPS Yukong, then I would recommend E4. If you can't get E4, then I would probably just recommend full support Yukong, because you're not really going to be doing that much damage with her. Now let's talk about Yukong's Lightcones. If you're using her on a Danny team, I would probably recommend Planetary Rendezvous, just because it is giving a flat damage increase just by having other imaginary people on the team. Like, all those characters are going to get that extra damage boost, right? As well as Danny too. So Planetary Rendezvous is probably my #1 choice to run here. Another good choice you could run if you're wanting to run a more support Yukong would be to run Meshing Cogs. Actually, the reason I say run Meshing Cogs is because every time she gets hit or uses an attack, she'll be regenerating extra energy, because you're not going to be using her skill every single turn. It's just not viable to run a Danny team that way. You don't want to use her skill every single turn because it's just SP inefficient, right? So Meshing Cogs could come in clutch as far as getting her ultimate back up faster. And one final thing you could run on the team if you have it would be Dance. I don't have this Lightcone, but it can be really good for Danny, because whenever she uses her ultimate, it will be advancing forward the allies' actions by 16%. This is super clutch for her. If you have it, this is probably one of her better ones to use, just because it is giving Danny an extra turn normally, depending on what his speed is, of course. So yeah, Dance is a high recommendation for me. Now, I do kind of want to show you guys the stat comparisons between all of the different Lightcones here. So first, I want to show the damage difference between Meshing Cogs and Dance. There's going to be an 8% damage difference there. Of course, you're getting extra damage out because it is a 4-star Lightcone compared to a 3-star Lightcone. But where you see a bigger jump in damage is with Meshing Cogs versus Planetary Rendezvous. You are doubling the damage that you can do with Meshing Cogs, or DDD anyways. DDD's damage will be multiplied by 2, essentially, when using Planetary, because it is giving that like imaginary damage boost to the whole team, right? So there's about a 16% difference there in damage. So I mean, if you're looking like just for strictly damage numbers alone, I mean, obviously Planetary Rendezvous is going to be your choice to pick there, but Dance could potentially make your team do more damage by pushing their action order forward. Alright guys, so kind of as a showcase here to show kind of how Danny works, I did enter a battle with his ability to, like, you know, do his little dash little thing he does. You know what I'm talking about. We entered battle with that. Only if I had Ting Unity 6, right? We could have had that Danny ultimate 100% for sure. So this turn, since we did use Ting Yun skill, we will not be using Yukong skill this time. What we're going to be doing is actually using Yukong just to attack the enemy, get some extra energy. So the next time she is up, she will have the ability to use Roaring Bowstring. We did get Danny's ultimate out that, 63,000 damage from Danny. Let's just go ahead and use the ultimate as well. So we're only using 1 skill point for him next turn, so we don't have to conserve that much, right? So, oh wait, oh no, the action order, I forgot. Oh no, see, that's why my Yukong needs to be faster. She's only at 138 speed, but whenever Ting Yun uses the ultimate on Danny, he actually gets faster than Yukong, which kind of screws up our rotation, I am not gonna lie. So, for this case, yeah, I guess we're just going to have to do our normal thing here. We're going to do a full attack here. I'm not really worried about it too much here. Yeah, we're going to do that. We're just going to go ahead and use Roaring Bowstring here just to get the ultimate back up. We can recharge everything that we need to recharge here with the rest of our team. Obviously, we're not going to be doing, like, the big damage with her, right? Well, I guess we will, because we do have E6. This is the big thing with E6, right? We have 3 charges, as you can see there. We're going to use Yukong's ultimate. This is why the Yukong ultimate does come in clutch. We're going to get our 1 turn of Roaring Bowstring now, and then we'll hit a full attack with Danny here. Absolutely huge, 58,000 damage. My Danny's kind of shit right now, so that's why I did that. But yeah, really massive damage for her. You kind of get the gist of how she works. You want her to be faster, so she's just in front of Danny, but not like before like your other characters, so he's able to take use of the full skill. Like I said, E6 does save you in a lot of situations, but yeah. Anyways, gamers, that's gonna do it for today's build guide on Yukong. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. I'll also be going over the announcement for the Fu Shuang giveaway. Yippee! So yeah, guys, we'll be having a Fushuan giveaway. If you want to enter that, all you need to do is subscribe to this channel here and also join our Discord. Everything for that will be in the description down below, so just make sure you join the Discord, go to the giveaway channel, and then join the giveaway from there. Yeah, so the giveaway will be up now. It'll be up for the next, I guess, every day up until like the day Fushuan releases. Don't know what that is by the time this video releases, but yeah, anyways, join the giveaway and have a good time. Anyways, bye guys, see you later, have a good one, and subscribe and join the Discord for the Fushuan giveaway. Bye.